having the opportunity to stand up here in front of the podium. But it is a great experience for them. Going backwards to last week, you hate to lose. You hate to lose. It was a great venue. It was a great environment. It was an opportunity to play an SEC team. We talked about the challenges that we had, who we were playing. And it's not just the talent level, and we can talk about some individual players from Mississippi State, but I think what they've done such a great job of is they know how to win, and they have won a number of games coming into it. We talked about they've been scoring on special teams, they've been scoring on defense, and those were the things that we were going to have to eliminate. And I thought through really about the first quarter and a half, quarter and three-fourths, almost till halftime, I thought really we had done a really good job on both sides of the ball, moving the ball on offense, being able to put it in the end zone, and then being able to get some stops on defense. But it seemed like when the block punt happened, you give up 7 points there. Then we had a roughing the punter. They went on to score there. We threw a pick six, which really is Jeff's first interception of the year. Even though we may have some on the stat sheet, it's hard to give him an interception when it bounces off a receiver's chest to an interception. I thought that was the first ball that he threw that was put in danger, which is pretty good when you're talking about he's in the 7th game of the year before he really throws a ball and throws an interception. And it just happened to be they're athletic enough to make you pay with it when you make those mistakes. And there's 21 points, and all of a sudden the game got out of hand. I was proud of the way our team competed. I was proud of the physical nature in which they played with. I was proud of the way they played together. We went there with the intent to win, and I thought that they went out there and with the energy and the physical nature that they played with, they gave us that opportunity, and I was really proud of the way they went and played. From an offensive standpoint, I think anytime you can throw for 300 yards, have over 400 yards against an SEC team, score 17 points in the first half, have 24 first downs, there were a lot of positive things that we can build on with the offense. And I think the same thing when I look at defense and I look at giving up, it was 3.8 yards per rush, I believe it was, against a big, powerful, physical football team like we had the opportunity to play. I was really proud of a lot of the things that the defense did, and the same thing on special teams. We had a 55-yard punt that was down inside the 2-yard line. I thought our kickoff cover team was as good as it had been all year against a very explosive football team that could have really, well, not could have, has hurt a lot of people with their kickoff return. I thought our kickoff team did some good things. We were 100% on our field goals. When you lose, there's a lot of ways to look at a game. And we can sit and we can nitpick on a lot of the negative things that we did, or we can say that we have an awful lot of positive things going for us right now and some things to build on. There's certainly some things that we need to correct with the punt protection to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again. And there's some things that we can do with our pass defense that I think is easily correctable with the attitude and the team that we have and the leadership that we have in these players right now. We understand the first half of the season is gone. The non-conference games are gone. There's 5 games left. And this is when you really start to rub your hands together and roll your sleeves up and say, let's go. This is what being in a conference is all about. Conference play begins this week for us right now. And I think everybody is excited about having the opportunity, A, to come back home, and B, to get into conference play. So I think we're really excited about this opportunity this weekend. It should be a good weekend with it being the induction weekend, and I want to certainly congratulate all the inductees into the Hall of Fame for the hard work and everything that they've put into it. I know it's really nice for them to receive the acknowledgement of everything that they've done for this university, and I certainly congratulate all of them, which is going to just add that much more to this weekend. We've got a very good opponent this weekend. I've got great respect for Coach Stockstill. I have known Coach Stockstill really from the day, he was one of the first guys I met when I went to Florida State to be a graduate assistant at 22 years old. He was a roommate with a guy that I roomed with there. He had just taken a job down at Central Florida, and he and I established a really positive working relationship. We recruited against each other when he was at Clemson. We coached on the same staff together at South Carolina, which was one of my more memorable years of coaching, is having the opportunity to coach with him, and I consider him one of my good friends in this business. I look now at the film, and I see little Brent Stockstill out there running around playing quarterback, and I can remember him pretty much when he was in diapers. I can remember him when he was little. I also had the opportunity to be involved in the recruiting of him, had him in camp. Really like him as a competitor. He's smart, he's intelligent. He's doing a great job of running that offense right now. He's throwing for over 300 yards a game. He's doing a really nice job. They've got 2 receivers that are both top 10 in our league in reception. I think they're both top 20 in the country, if I'm saying that properly. I know they've got 2 receivers, both have over 50 catches, very active with what they do. They've got an athletic offensive line, but I think right now Brent Stockstill is the one that's making the wheels on the bus go round. I think he is doing a great job of running that system, and it'll be a challenge for us, especially when you look at, we just gave up over 300 yards passing to an SEC team, and having the opportunity to play them and see the success that they're having. It'll be a great challenge for us. This is a team that you certainly don't take lightly. You can look at their schedule and say, or look at their record and say they're 3-4, but yet they've lost to Alabama. They lost to Illinois by 2. They lost to Vanderbilt by 4. I mean, you look at it, they're 2 plays away from sitting here 5-2 right now, with a really good schedule that they've played. So this is going to be a great challenge for us, and I think right now it all starts with their offense. I think they are putting up a lot of points. When I look at them defensively, they return 8 starters off last year's team. They run around, they pressure you a lot. They blitz probably, I think it's about 50 to 55% of the time. They are bringing somebody. They're not a sit on their heels and sit still type of team. The team we just played is big, strong, and physical. Don't do a lot of twisting with their defensive line, where this is just the opposite. The end will become the rusher on that side. The 3 technique will loop to this side. I mean, a lot of crossing, looping, very athletic defensive line. And they'll pose some problems a little bit for us with their defenses, with some of the things that they do athletically up front. I think it's a really good football team, and I'm excited about having the opportunity to get into conference play and getting back home and having the opportunity to play in front of our home crowd here at 2:30 in the afternoon.
What did you and Manny have to say to one another after the game?
Just, I think there's great respect there. I had an opportunity to talk with them for about 20, 30 minutes before the game when both teams just first arrived to the stadium. And I take a walk around the field, which is one of the traditional things that I do as soon as we get to the stadium, just to walk the entire field. And as I was down at that end, he came walking out as the buses had just arrived, and I had an opportunity to visit with them. And you know what, Manny is a good friend. He is an excellent football coach. I'm glad to hear that his family is doing well and everybody has made the adjustment back to Starkville as well as they have. And then after the game, I just told him I thought they did a great job on defense, thought they did a really nice job, and we complimented each other and we're very cordial and, with everything. But I have great respect for Manny.
Brent Stockstill, as a redshirt freshman, is on pace to break a lot of records. Do you think being a coach's son and being familiar with the system has helped him to do that as a freshman?
Yes, without a doubt. I think Brent has been as they call him, the gym rat. You know what I mean? He has been a coach's son, growing up around the game his whole life, growing up around the practice fields, coming to work with Dad, watching film, all those things. I think he has had a passion for the game ever since he was small. He's very intelligent. He's very smart. Like I said, I think he's the one making it work. They go at a very high tempo with what they do, and then they give you a lot of different formations and run a lot of different things, and I don't think they could do it if he wasn't where he was cerebrally with what they're doing offensively. I think he is he's really special, not just with his physical talents and abilities, but with where he is mentally and how well he understands the game. He's doing a great job. It's impressive watching him on film. Proud of him.
You talk about the tempo. The last 2 weeks, tempo's hurt you guys defensively. What can you do to prepare for that and fix it? Well,
we have an opportunity to go against it every day, and I think when you look at some of the things that we're doing past defenses, Nick stood up here and talked about it's all tied together. I mean, everybody's on a rope. We are not a man cover team where we are just putting people out on their own and just saying, okay, you've got to cover him, and if there's a completion, you can go, okay, it's your fault. There's one that's thrown. They bring a running back underneath. Nick's doing a great job of dropping in his pass pro. He sees it. He anticipates the throw, and he takes a step up, and a good quarterback like Dak throws it right behind his ear. And it's like, dang it, I shouldn't have taking the cheese, you know what I mean? Little things like that, and that's where I think they know that we can get better. And watching the film last night, I think everybody was encouraged because the mistakes are made can be corrected. It's one thing if you go out there and physically you're just like, wow, we never had a shot. You know, we never had a shot in that game. But I think a lot of these little things can be corrected, and it's good to see all the run-pass conflict that we got, and especially it's really hard to stop when you have a running quarterback. And the pass-run conflict is a quarterback running downhill. And with the rules where they are today, the offensive lineman can come out, hit the linebacker at 3 or 4 yards deep, and you can still throw it. And so right now it's really hard. I think everybody defensively in college football is struggling with the run-pass conflict and how to teach it right now. But I think our players are, I think they're eager to improve and get better. And I think when people go quick on you, it just forces you to communicate that much quicker and that much louder to everybody, so everybody's tied together and on the same page.
On kickoffs, you started 25, 26, 14, 11, 25, 25, 29, average of 19, obviously not good. What can be done to help boost the field position? Any changes that will be made on the kickoff unit to try to get as far going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, believe it or not, even with where some of the numbers were in the kickoff return game, I felt like, felt like our front wall probably played its best game. You know, our front wall of it really did some good things, but we did not field the ball very well. I mean, obviously there were 2 they put on the ground and we kind of bobbled and then had to go back and pick it up, and those are the ones that are inside the 10. Then we had 1 we kind of caught, bobbled, stepped in the end zone, decided to come out late. We probably started on the 9. I think that might have been the one on the 9. There were some decisions made back there, and sometimes when you put a freshman back there, even though he may be talented, it's still about making good decisions and fielding the ball back there. And we've got to do a much better job, because I think a lot of that was the result of that. When we had an opportunity to get some returns against an SEC team, to get the ball and to come out from the goal line and to be able to get to the 25-yard line, and some of the things we were doing, there were at times it was close, but what you've got to eliminate is those balls that we bobbled where you're starting down around the 10-yard line. Those are decision-making things, and we'll definitely talk about it as a staff this week and who's going to start back there. Jaquise will be one of the conversations, but I can't tell you that he would start at this point.
What about the punt? What exactly happened on the block punt? It seemed like half those guys were running on the field, and Mississippi State had like 3 or 4 guys running free to block it.
No, the right guard didn't block anybody. The right guard didn't block anybody, and that left 2 on one of the back wall. That left 2 on the back wall, and there was 2 on 1, and he got tied in. We're a zone protection team, not a man protection team. And with the 2, he got tied into the inside guy, and the outside guy came free. I mean, that's what happened.
Is it frustrating that it seems like every week there's a different aspect of the special teams that is kind of flawed, and it's almost like you're plugging one hole, and then the next week another opens up, whether that's kickoff, you fix the field goal, and now it's a punt block, and et cetera.
Right, well, and when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old young men, sometimes they're going to make mistakes. And nobody feels worse than the guy that missed the block. But it's nothing that we haven't seen before, I'll put it that way. I mean, it wasn't a structural thing. It wasn't a scheme thing. It was an execution thing. And I know, it's, dang it, that's me, kind of, my bad. But that's where the ownership of special teams comes in. And one of the decisions that we have made is with a lot of the youth that we have on our special teams, we have a lot of freshmen and true sophomores on our special teams to gain them some experience. And so some of our veteran guys who are playing 60 and 70 plays on offense or defense have an opportunity to rest, and some of these younger guys have an opportunity to gain some experience. And in gaining experience, you're going to make mistakes, and we have to learn from them. We have to grow from them and fix them and correct them and get it ready. But that's why I've always said you play non-conference games to be able to make some mistakes and get some guys ready to play to go on your conference run, and that's what starts this weekend. So what we've done to this point statistically is irrelevant. It's really what we do going forward from here. I like where we are right now. We're sitting here in first place in the West. We control our division. We control our own destiny right now. And what we've got to do is make sure that we correct some of the mistakes that we've made and that we get ready to play a 5-week conference run. We've had 7 straight games. We've got 3 more before we have an open date, which I think we badly need. We have not had, we talked about, we've played 7 games. We have not had our 5 starting skill players all play in the same game yet. And it will be great to have Carlos and Paul and Kenneth and Connor and Trent and have all those guys on the field together so we can really see what this offense is capable of doing when it's operating on all cylinders. So I'm hopeful that we'll get a lot of those guys back this week and get ready for this conference run that we've got in these next 5 games.
You mentioned being first in your division, and with the conference slate really picking up here, do you guys still have that sense, even at 4-3, that all of your goals are really still achievable and out ahead of you?
Yes, the sky's falling because we lost to a Big 12 team in triple overtime on the road and an SEC team on the road. I'm not ready to throw this team under the bus and say they're not very good. I'm not ready to do that. I think I've been proud of what we've been able to accomplish. I think in that game, even though the score got away because of really 3 plays, a block punt, a roughing the punter, and a touchdown pass, take those 21 points off the board, and it's a 24-20 football game, and it's a heck of a football game on the road in the SEC. And so I am proud of what this team has accomplished with the injuries that we've had and the way some guys have stepped up and tried to create some depth. And every one of the goals that we talked about when we came in, we've lost the national championship at this point. You know what I mean? That's what we've lost. We've lost the national championship. I don't know what the odds makers in Vegas said at the beginning of the year, but I don't think we were one of the favorites. I mean, so when you look at what we've lost, I feel good about where we are right now. I feel good about the experience some of these young guys are gaining. Jared Kraft being able to get these reps, Boston Scott being able to get these reps, to see Marcus Gaines grow up the way he has in the last 3 weeks with Carlos being out, to see Marlon Watt show up and to see what he did, to see Cedric Cooper doing the things that he's doing, Aaron Robertson right now, Trey Spencer are 2 corners that are getting a lot of work in special teams that may have to start one of these games down the road. I think they are getting better and starting to get it. I like what Brandon Derman's doing and the progress he's making. Jalen Ferguson has been a really pleasant surprise. I like where this team is growing, how it's evolving, and how it's coming together for what we need to do for these final 5 weeks in the season. So for the average person that looks at a win and loss record and evaluates the team, I look at the body of work right now, and I've continued to say we're a work in progress, but I really like the growth, the development, and the maturity of a lot of the young players on this football team and the leadership that we're getting from a lot of these upperclassmen that are playing.
Is Kenneth headed toward another game time decision? How important will Thursday be in terms of if he practices Thursday?
That will have a lot to do with whether or not he plays, but I'd like to tell you he's going to be a Tuesday decision. I mean, like I told you, when you're dealing with a soft tissue injury, I mean, a lot of it's going to go on field. There's not you can't x-ray it and say, wow, 2 weeks. It's how is it going to heal and how's it going to come together. And I think he told me he feels better this Sunday than he did last Sunday. I thought 2 weeks ago he was a game time decision. I didn't think he was ready. We came into this week, I thought that he could go if we needed him to. He had energy. I felt like he was still a little bit hobbled late in the week, and I thought it was more adrenaline than it was health. You know what I mean? That it was more adrenaline that made him ready to play. I made the decision not to play him in that game. And then as we come into this week, I'm hopeful we can practice Tuesday, but we'll see Tuesday. It's kind of, I'm not trying to play games with it. I don't know. I'm very hopeful that we'll have him back, Carlos back, and Paul, I think, came out of this game. He only played about 25, 30 plays in this game. Played more in just a third down mindset, so we could kind of pull back on his hamstring a little bit. And I think he feels as good as he has all year with his hamstring coming into this game. So hopefully we'll get them all back.
Kenneth's just a garden variety sprain or high ankle, or
it's a ligament in his ankle.
Skip, you talked about non-conference games, and while you've played yours, we'll call it quote-unquote relatively competitive, you still haven't gotten over that hump. And I think I read last night or maybe even this morning where against the P5 conferences, everybody else is like 7-58 this year. So is that gap between the big boys and the little boys, for lack of a better expression, getting further apart, or what do you think it's going to take to dent into those kind of numbers?
Well, No, I'm not going to say it's getting. I think off the field is getting farther and farther apart. I think resource-wise, it's getting farther and farther apart, and I think probably recruiting-wise, in some respects, it's getting harder because of the amount, the separation, the financial separation between the programs. It's making it harder. But I look at on the field. I think we can be competitive. Can we win? Well, we got to play better. We can't do the things we did Saturday and win. You know, you can't get a pump blocked, you can't throw in a pick six, you can't do those type of things. But I also look at it and think there have been some really competitive games. As I talked about, Middle Tennessee loses by 2, you know, to Illinois. They lose by 4 to Vanderbilt. They, I mean, I look at our game in triple overtime with Kansas State. I mean, I think they're hard. I think when you play on the road in some of these venues with their conference officials, it's very difficult. Everything, you know what I mean? It's all an uphill climb. It's all an uphill climb, and I'm not. You just don't get a lot of the breaks. You know, the breaks don't really come your way. But I think that I look at a lot of teams that are in this league in Conference USA that right now are competing. You know, with a lot of teams that are there. But yeah, we've got to get over that hump. You got to find a way to win it because it's not a moral victory to say, wow, it was 3 overtimes. Wow, we were right there. We just had a couple turnovers. If you want to win and if you want to be a good football team, those are the games you got to win.
Blake Martin before the game without his graft brace, whatever, on his right hand. And he's been on special teams the past couple weeks, but that was the first, at least from my perspective, that he had his hand clean.
Right.
What's his role going forward now that I assume he's relatively healthy?
Getting to 100% now because he had a wrist and was very limited with what he could do with carrying the ball. But I think you'll see his role as a running back start to pick up now that he's got use of both hands.
Have you made any decision with Kirby in terms of redshirting?
No, I told Kirby that, you know, if we do what we're supposed to do, we're at the halfway point right now. If we do what we're supposed to do and play in, and you can find a way to win the West and play in a conference championship game and a bowl game, you have 7 games left on the schedule. And so right now I think we're at the halfway point. I've told Kirby all along, let's rehab the heck out of it. Let's work like we're trying to get back. When you're cleared and we're good to go, then let's sit down and make that decision. But trying to decide, well, if he comes back today, we'll play. And if he comes back next, let's wait and see when he's healthy. When he's healthy, then we'll sit down and evaluate it. And at this point right now, he's not there for this week, but he's making progress. He's getting better. It's getting stronger, and it's just a matter of when, after working with Gerald and Coach Hester down in the weight room, that they feel like he is strong enough to be able to hold up.
What was the initial time gap you were given?
Kind of a 4 to 6 week, which is about where we are.